Have you ever sat in your favorite chair with a quiet house around you and asked yourself, what happened between me and my child? One day you're picking them up from school, packing their lunch, worrying if they're warm enough, and the next, they've stopped calling, stopped visiting, and maybe even told you, in words that felt like knives, you're toxic. That word alone is enough to shatter your peace. And if you're hearing it from your own child, your own flesh and blood, it can leave you confused, heartbroken, and wondering what on earth you did to deserve that. You may have spent your life working hard, making sacrifices, trying to give them everything, and now it feels like they've erased you from theirs. If this hits close to home, please know, you are not alone. More and more parents, especially those of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, are facing this kind of painful distance from our adult children. It's become more common than people talk about. Some children are pulling away, setting boundaries, or cutting off communication altogether. And many are using that word, toxic, to explain why. And if that's happened to you, I want to gently say something that may be hard to hear. But I say it with compassion and with hope. If you want to reconnect, it may start with learning how to listen differently. Now, I know you may feel misunderstood. You may feel like your child is exaggerating, rewriting history, or only seeing the bad parts. You might even think, I wasn't perfect, but I was a good parent. And chances are, you were. Parenting never comes with a manual, and you did your best with what you knew at the time. But here's something that can open a door. Maybe just a crack at first, but enough to let a little light in. When your adult child calls you toxic, it's often not about one moment or one mistake. It's about years of built-up hurt, miscommunications, emotional mismatches, times when they felt unseen, unheard, or misunderstood. You may not agree with everything they say, and you don't have to. But if you want to speak to them again, if you want a relationship again, the best thing you can do is start learning how to communicate in a way that helps them feel safe again. And that brings us to the first powerful shift you can make: validation. Now, if that word sounds like therapy speak, don't worry. I'm going to explain it in a way that's simple and real. Validation means that when your child finally opens up to you, and they say something hard, maybe even something you strongly disagree with, you don't interrupt. You don't defend yourself. You don't say, that's not how it happened. You listen, fully, quietly, respectfully. And when they finish, you say something like, that must have been really hard for you. Or, I hear you saying that you felt hurt by what I said back then. Or even just, I didn't realize you carried that pain for so long. I'm sorry you did. You're not saying they're right and you're wrong. You're not surrendering your whole story. You're simply giving them space to be heard. And let me tell you something powerful. Most adult children who cut off contact say the same thing. My parent never really listened. They just defended themselves. So when you practice validation, you're showing them something different, something healing. You're saying without words, I'm here now, I'm listening, I want to understand you better. And believe it or not, that simple shift can change everything. Now I know this isn't easy. You've lived a long life. You've seen a lot. You've been through wars, both personal and global. You've survived heartbreak, financial struggles, health scares. It's not easy to sit and listen when someone, especially your child, throws pain at you. But if you can stay calm, if you can hold steady, if you can just listen and repeat back what you heard, they may, for the first time in years, feel seen by you. And when someone feels seen, they start to soften. Validation is like water on dry soil. It doesn't fix everything, but it makes growth possible again. The second thing, equally important, is something most of us never had to think about when we were younger. But now, it matters more than we realize. Your body language. Communication isn't just words. In fact, most of it isn't words at all. It's in your face, your eyes, your posture, your tone, your hands, the little sighs or raised eyebrows or crossed arms that speak louder than anything you say. So imagine this. Your child finally agrees to meet you. Maybe it's over coffee or a short phone call. They start to open up. And while they're talking, you're frowning, crossing your arms, looking away. Or worse, you have that look. You know the one. The one that says, "I'm listening, but I think you're wrong." That will shut the conversation down in a heartbeat. Your child might not even know why they suddenly feel upset, but their nervous system picks up on the signals. And the signal is, this isn't a safe place to speak. So what can you do? Start with how you sit. Keep your arms relaxed. Maybe rest your hands gently on your lap or on the table. Lean in just a little, not too much. Make gentle eye contact. Nod when they speak. Keep your face soft, neutral. Even if what they say stings, try to keep your expression open. And most of all, don't interrupt. Just give them space to get it all out. Because here's the truth. If your child has been carrying resentment for years, they won't just drop it in one conversation. They may test the waters first. They may start with something small, just to see how you'll react. If you react with calm, with validation, with open body language, you're telling them, this is safe. You can keep going. But if you react with a frown or a loud sigh or a stiff posture, they'll close right back up. I know this sounds like a lot to carry on your shoulders. And maybe you're thinking, why is it all up to me? Why don't they have to do any of the work? You're right to feel that. Reconciliation is a two-way street. But when someone is hurt, really hurt, they don't always have the capacity to meet you halfway. Not at first. Someone has to go first. And if you're watching this video, that someone may be you. Not because you're at fault for everything, but because you're ready. Because you're wise enough to know that peace is more important than pride. Because your heart is big enough to say, even if I didn't get everything right back then, I want to try now. And trying begins with listening, with validating, with softening your body language so that your child can soften too. Let's take a deep breath here. This is a lot to take in, but you've made it this far. That means you care. That means something in you still believes that healing is possible. And if you believe that, even just a little, then we're on the right track. Now take a moment. Think about the last conversation you had with your child, if you can remember it. What were you saying? What were they saying? What was the energy in the room? Not just the words, but the feeling. Hold that memory gently. We're going to build from there. Sometimes just sitting with those memories of the last conversation, or maybe the silence that followed, can stir up a lot. There might be tears, confusion, even anger. That's okay. You're human. And this journey toward reconnection is as much about healing your heart as it is about rebuilding the bridge to theirs. We've talked about how important it is to truly listen, to validate, to let your body speak calm and openness instead of judgment. But there's another part that's just as powerful and just as easy to overlook. It's your tone. You could say the gentlest words in the world, but if your tone carries sharpness, resentment, or impatience, your child won't hear the words at all. They'll only hear the edge. Let's say your child opens up and says something like, "I always felt like you never supported me." Now, inside, you might be thinking, That's not fair. I did everything I could for you. And maybe you did. Maybe you worked long hours, paid for college, took care of them when they were sick. But if your tone responds with heat, even if your words don't, what they'll hear is, I still don't feel safe with you. You might say, what do you mean I didn't support you? But if your tone is cold or defensive, it'll land as blame. It'll push them away, not pull them closer. What you say matters. But how you say it, that's what opens hearts. So the next time you have the chance to speak with your child, even if it's brief, even if it's awkward, pay attention to your tone. Is it calm, gentle, curious, rather than accusatory? You can ask questions like, can you help me understand that a little more? Or, I didn't know you felt that way, and I want to hear more when you're ready. Say those words out loud to yourself for a moment. Not just in your head, actually speak them. Feel how they sit in your throat. Feel what tone naturally comes up. If you hear tension, take a breath. Try again. Try slower. Tone doesn't just communicate language, it communicates your intention. It tells the other person, I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to understand you. That alone can be a game changer. Now, I want to pause here for a moment and speak to something deeper, because I know that some of you watching might be thinking, what if my child never wants to talk to me again? What if no matter how kind I am, how calm, how patient, they've already made up their mind? That's a hard truth, and one that many parents silently carry. You've left messages. You've written letters. You've tried to apologize. And the silence on the other end feels like a wall too thick to break through. But hear this, and please hear it fully. Your effort still matters. Your growth still matters. And even if your child isn't ready to see it now, you're planting seeds, quiet seeds, ones that may take time, months, years, to sprout, but they are there, beneath the surface, waiting. You can't control their healing timeline, but you can control how you show up, how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you choose compassion over pride again and again. And there's something else. As you practice these skills, not just for them, but for you, you start to reclaim your own peace. Validation, calm body language, a gentle tone. These aren't just tools to reconnect with your child. They're also tools to reconnect with yourself, to soften the inner critic, to quiet the old hurts that still echo inside, to give yourself the grace you may never have been given. It's never too late to grow. Never too late to become someone who listens more deeply, responds more kindly, and chooses healing over hurt. You are not broken. You are evolving. And even if your child isn't ready to step back into your life, the steps you take today, right now, will shape who you are tomorrow. You may be in your 60s, your 70s, even your 80s, and you may be thinking, isn't it too late for all this? But I want to remind you, some of the most powerful love stories begin not in the first chapter, but in the last. You have time, you have heart, and you have the strength to keep trying. So if that door opens, even just a crack, walk through it with grace. Speak with love. Let your tone say, I'm safe, I'm open, I'm here. Because when a child hears that, not just with their ears but with their heart, something shifts. And it all begins with that soft, steady voice, the one that says, I see you, I'm listening, and I care. There's something powerful that begins to happen when you decide to speak from a place of peace rather than pain. You're not just reaching toward your child, you're also reaching into yourself, into the parts that still want to love and be loved. And that's something no amount of time, silence, or separation can truly erase. Now here's something I want you to consider. If you do get that chance to talk to your child, if they answer a call, reply to a message, agree to meet for coffee, you may only have a few moments to show that things are different now. That's why practicing these skills ahead of time is so important. Because when the door cracks open, even just a little, you don't want to step in carrying the same old weight, the need to be right, the urge to explain, the fear of rejection. You want to bring something softer, something that says, without needing to prove it, I've been working on myself. I'm showing up with care this time. And if that moment doesn't come right away, if days or weeks or even years stretch on without a response, then you keep showing up. Not just for them, but for you. You keep learning to communicate with patience and warmth. You practice it in your other relationships, with friends, with neighbors, even with strangers at the grocery store. You create a life that feels calmer, clearer, and kinder. Whether or not your child is ready to be part of it yet, that's not giving up. That's growing up. Emotionally. That's healing forward. Now I want to take just a few minutes to gently gather everything we've talked about so far, not as a checklist, but as a quiet reflection. If you've been called toxic, you're probably carrying a great deal of sadness, maybe even shame. Those words cut deep, but they don't define you. And they don't mean you're beyond repair. What they may mean is that something in your past communication, whether it was how you listened, how you reacted, or how you spoke, caused pain, even if that pain was never your intention. And your willingness to understand that pain, without defensiveness, is the beginning of reconnection. You start by validating, not agreeing with everything, but simply acknowledging what they felt. You let your body language stay open, shoulders relaxed, arms uncrossed, face soft, and you let your tone become a gentle invitation instead of a sharp reaction. These are not just techniques. They're signs of respect, signs of maturity, signs that love still lives in you even after hurt. And if you're thinking, I've already apologized and they still won't talk to me, let me say this. An apology is a beginning, not a finish line. It's not just words. It's the consistent action that follows. A real apology lives in your tone, your posture, your patience. It lives in the way you choose silence instead of defensiveness. In the way you say, "Tell me more," instead of, "That's not what happened." In the way you stay even when the conversation is uncomfortable. And yes, it's hard. It's humbling. But it's also deeply healing for both of you. You might be surprised at what starts to shift, not only in your relationship with your child, but in the way you relate to yourself. That voice in your head that once shouted, "You failed," may quiet down and say instead, "You tried again. You softened. You learned." There is something profoundly dignified about a parent who, in their later years, chooses growth over pride. You are not weak for wanting to reconnect. You are not foolish for hoping. You are brave. You are strong. And you are worthy of love, even if your child can't give it right now. Now, if your child is listening too, and sometimes they are, quietly, without you knowing, I hope they're also doing their own work, getting help, reflecting, learning how to communicate from a place of calm instead of blame. Because the truth is, healing is a two-way path. But it often begins with one person lighting a lantern and walking forward first. That can be you. And if you've made it to the end of this conversation, if you're still here, listening, considering, feeling, then you've already started. You've already taken the first few steps toward healing. Now let's take just one more moment together. Put your hand on your heart. Breathe in deeply. And say to yourself, softly, kindly, without rush, I'm learning. I'm growing. And I'm still capable of love. Because you are. And even if this road is long, even if it's quiet, even if you don't know where it leads, you're walking it with courage. That matters. That has value. That is a gift. If something in this message spoke to you today, I want to invite you to share your story in the comments below. There's no judgment here, just understanding. Others may be going through the same thing, and your words might help someone else feel less alone. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life. We're building a space here for wisdom, honesty, and healing, one conversation at a time. And above all, I hope you leave today with this truth in your heart. It's never too late to reconnect. It's never too late to love again. And it's never too late to become someone even your younger self would be proud of. Here's to living with love. Here's to growing with grace. And here's to the quiet strength it takes to try, even after everything. You're not alone. You're just getting started.